Exactly.
We
Yeah.
had the whole global freedom movement thing, and that turned into, well, we kind of put that on hold in 2016, 2017. And basically I've sort of continued the journey, but I wasn't able to get back to writing until August of last year. And that was really important for me in terms of being sane, and not going absolutely batshit crazy. So, yeah, I got back to writing in August and have been doing, about 3 hours a day on the book two. So I'm hoping to have that published this year, definitely this year.
Awesome. Cool. And when you mean freedom, I just want to go back on that because I'm very much into, freeing yourself and your mind and kind of delving deeper into what, the what the actual truth in the world is, because we're so conditioned to, in our culture as well, to just, you know, work that 9 to 5, get married, have those kids, buy that house, and then that's it. You made it in life. You never have to look back, and that's what life is all about. And you really became who you're supposed to because of the job that you have, the job title, or the that you raised this many children, or you have the biggest house or the nicest luxury car. But if you're delving deeper in it, it's really who what your actual purpose that you were brought on this earth to do, right? It has nothing to do with what the material part of it, even though that's good. So maybe, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure, yeah. So like life, like purpose kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of the whole point of it. It's. I feel like I was fortunate enough to sort of tap into my purpose, relatively young. I mean, a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
end up in their midlife crisis. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want.
Exactly.
Um, they just know they need to get that fancy car. you know. So yeah, it's kind of like we all have this journey that we are here for, and I think some souls map their path out with a little more detail, and some with a little less. But we all kind of have like an idea of what we want to do, before we incarnate into a human body. That's kind of my outlook, so to speak. So yeah, I think it's just the challenge of unfolding that, and actually figuring out how do I, because it's not easy, and it's
Right.
the odds in many ways are stacked against us, particularly being born into this matrix system of deception. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really interesting challenge and journey to try and unfold that potential and unfold that mission and figure out what it is that you're here to do. And everyone has their own different thing. For me, it's I've known for quite a long time that it's sort of got a lot to do with education and raising awareness, and helping people to become grounded in themselves, to embody their sort of spiritual like ideals, and actually bring it into themselves and live it, on a basic pragmatic level, rather than being sort of off in the conceptual space, up in the kind of realm of imagination. Like, we can actually take this and bring it into ourselves, and live. If you live from the body out, it's like that's you're living from your center, and then you can be those things much more in a much more real, pragmatic, effective, powerful kind of way. Like, I'm all about that potency, and not just being like love, light, and rainbow tights and airy fairy. It's not all fluff. It's not all feel good. We don't.
Shaman kind of style.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's this huge thing in this realm, in our sort of, if you can call it a movement, where, yeah, it's like there's this misconception or misnomer that you're supposed to be positive all the time, and you're supposed to feel awesome all the time, and
Oh gosh.
and I've seen, in this, particularly right now, like in the lockdown, people are having that stripped away. That false spiritual facade, that you've got to be this happy, enlightened master all the time who thinks it's all good and whatever. And people are being smashed right now because this lockdown thing is putting them into a certain, for different people, certain situations. Like, I know some women who are very image based. They really have this thing about how they have to look a certain way, even though they consider themselves to be woke or conscious, but they still have that fixation on, oh, I have to look this way. I have to wear my makeup. I've got to, have this
Right.
kind of keep up appearances. And now that it's like, they can't go to the hairdresser. They can't get all the stuff done. and they're actually having to face themselves and come to some sort of like reconciliation, like self-acceptance. And even the idea of self-acceptance itself is quite bizarre. It's like only in the Western world, where we've become so warped and distorted in our way of thinking about life, do you need to go through a ritual of accepting yourself. Like,
Loving
it's a
yourself.
really,
Yeah.
it's a bizarre idea, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean you don't accept yourself? It's bizarre. But like tribal cultures, and who were in touch with the land and themselves and each other and connected, they didn't have that. It's like it's this invention of toxic Western sort of civilization, because we've forgotten who we are. We've lost contact with nature and all that sort of thing. But anyway, that's a tangent. So
No, it's a
yeah,
great tangent. And a lot of people, like, to kind of piggyback on that, every time I ask someone, or when I started this journey that I'm still going through, but every time I ask somebody, what can I do to kind of enlighten myself or open myself up more, cleanse my chakras, or anything, that you, to just kind of be closer to my higher self, everyone would always say meditation. And even though I do think it's a great tool to kind of relax yourself and delve deeper, I had a hard time, because your mind wanders, and I was just like, am I supposed to like see a flash of light and say, oh, now I'm enlightened, and I never knew, what the point of it was. And then I realized, okay, there's different, I guess, modalities, or there's different, things that you can do to, get to know yourself better, or feel, or be more spiritual. It doesn't necessarily have to be, doesn't necessarily have to be meditation. It could be a connection to nature. It could be, kind of how you got your first activation on yourself through, the regenetic method that, I'd like you to talk about. But there's other methods, even though, I'm not kind of putting down anything. There, just to stay open, and to just stay open-minded, right, to what's
yeah,
around you.
yeah, and like, yeah, I do agree with you.